It's the most toxic thing about this industry, and I say it all the time, is that you have to be booked and blessed, but available. One of my most favourite jobs I've ever done was my time at Tokyo Disney. I was there for a year and a half, and when I got off the plane, there was someone with my name on a sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've made it. I always say when I'm lecturing, like, everyone will get a first job, but not everyone will get a second job, because if they don't like you or they don't buy into you, you'll get that first job because they don't know you.
Variety is the spice of life, and for many people, having a portfolio career offers that spice. Jamie Body is, but not limited to, a performer, presenter, podcast host, and journalist with an extensive experience in the world of arts and entertainment. Being freelance and managing when to say yes and no to work, whilst being mindful of well-being and work-life balance, is an everyday challenge, but Jamie seems to be thriving. Please welcome to Performing in Life, Jamie Body. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. It's so lovely to actually, almost slightly confronting as well though, but to stop and listen and thought, oh, a moment to reflect. I think in the arts we're always like, the foot's always on the accelerator.
Yeah, it's always not just in the audition room, but it's always next. Like, do you know what I mean? Every job that you do, it's like you finish something and then you're straight on to the next thing. But we were talking just before we started recording, and actually we were meant to work on a project together.
Yes.
I think it was in like 2020. It was sort of mid-pandemic, because actually I remember at the time people were still wearing face masks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was when we were coming out of lockdown and stuff, and there was an event with Abby Lee Miller from Dance Mums fame, and then you weren't able to make it because something else came up. And I suppose that kind of leads into what we were saying earlier about sometimes you have to say no to things, and it's a bit disappointing. But that was an epic few days. I don't want to rub it in, but I feel like you missed out there on that one.
Post-production, you have to add me into the photos all of a sudden, and I'll just be like,
yeah, you just be around there. Yeah. But have you met her actually?
No, never, which is so sad. And I feel like once on the algorithms now, I've liked a few videos lately, and there she is. So she's haunting me now still to this day.
She knows how to milk the socials, doesn't she? She does very, very well. But were you a Dance Mums fan before that point?
I was, and I think I've always been quite an Americana fan of like culture. I was quite an early adopter of like all the talent shows over there, so I Think You Can Dance, stuff like that. So I was always trying to find a way to like stream all of that online. So yeah, I was quite a fan. And now they're all so grown up, the Dance Mums kids, aren't they? Yeah,
it's weird, but you wouldn't think it. As in, like, you look back and watching it is almost like you're still watching it all today.
Yeah, but I feel incredibly old now, looking at these kids that are like adults with empires. And I'm like, oh God.
And they're all loaded as well, which is quite annoying. But when you look back and watch some of the episodes, the things they got away with, the way they spoke to each other, do you know what I mean? The things that were on TV, it's a little bit shocking.
It is, and now that I work a lot more in media and understanding the roles of producers and narratives, and now I think there are a lot more safeguarding in place. But yeah, it is wild to think what they got away with, or what would have been a trend, or something. Then they know that's a hook, that's an angle there. Let's prod that a lot more. It was, especially for minors, it's quite intense.
It is anything for the sake of good television.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's say all news is good news. So whether it's a bad clip or a bad edit, it's good, isn't it? That it's always out there.
Yeah.
Not if you're on the receiving end.
No, true. But we were talking a little bit in your intro about having a portfolio career and having lots of different things, and you wear different hats all of the time, whether it's journalism, whether you're presenting, whether you're hosting your own podcast as well. Is there a moment where you kind of realized that you didn't want to just follow one path? You wanted to have that variety, and you wanted to have the choice to do all those different things?
I think I've always wanted to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I think I almost, not like I didn't verbalize that, but I think especially when you're training in performing arts, it's like, I want to be in the West End, I want to be on tour, I want to be on cruise ships, I was like, but I also want to do this, or I want to do that, or I'd watch a TV show or a film, and then I'd go on like IMDb to be like, who's that person and how's it all linked? So I think I always knew I wanted to do more. And that was one, I remember in third year someone saying, I'm going to dance until I can retire. And I was like, I'll probably keep performing for like 10 or so years, and then I want to do this, I want to do that. Not like you should ever put a time limit on it. And obviously, occasionally now I still dance when someone phones up and they're like, we need a guy that can dance that doesn't look like a dancer. And I'm like, I'm back.
Doesn't look like a dancer.
Yeah, I'm like, compliment? I don't know. But yeah, I think I've always wanted to do lots of things. And I think nowadays you almost have to. And I have so many friends who are in films, shows, And they either A, do something else because they want to, or B, they have to, because obviously financially, one avenue
you have to stay
may
afloat.
be, yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, and that's the thing. And I think actually there's so many young performers in particular who are out there doing the job, but at the same time, having to sort themselves in other ways, which clearly isn't their passion. So do you feel lucky that actually you've been able to navigate that quite well with all the different things that you do?
Yes, and I don't want to sit here and be like, look at me. There were definitely times when I overloaded myself to the point of burnout. I remember when I first went into arts marketing, I was working full time and using my annual leave to keep dancing.
Wow.
So I remember one Christmas so vividly when I was working full time on marketing of Western shows. I was doing a show Thursday through Sunday, like a Christmas show. And I would look so rough by the end of December, and we almost glamorized the hustle. That being said, I almost needed to do that to keep my fingers in all the pies and come out the other side. So yes, now I feel like, oh, work-life balance. My friend, welcome, please stay.
Yeah.
But there was still definitely time trying to juggle everything. But I think one of the things that really helped me in my career was spotting opportunities. I think sometimes if you're so tunnel focused, you don't see the other doors that are opening. And I think I was always quite good at being like, what's over there? What's over there? And understanding that to get there, I may go like that, as opposed to just having to go like that.
You got to be ready to be flexible, right? And
you do,
because you've got to think about the longevity of everything, and there's going to be certain things that you can't do forever, or do past a certain time, or age, or date, or whatever that looks like, and not wanting to limit anything, because there's some people out there who are past what traditionally would have been the dancing age, doing some amazing things, you know. How do you manage that though? How do you stay motivated? How thinking about being self-employed and, like you say, thinking about work-life balance, but also being in a position where jobs come through and you probably have to say yes, but at the same time thinking to yourself, do you know what though, I could really do with some time off?
I think one thing that really helped me a couple of years ago was understanding that if I say yes to something now, what am I saying no to further down the line? And that could just be no to having time off, no to my health because I'm overworking, or no to a potential shiny job that comes in. Obviously, I've not got a magic ball. I don't know what's in the future. But sometimes I was taking little bitty jobs because I think, oh yeah, I've got nothing. I feel that time in. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, it was a friend's birthday. I should have gone to that. Or I just really need a day off because I remember when I was so lucky to be filming Bridgerton, there was a night shoot when we finished at 4 a.m. We were out, I think, near Milton Keynes. And then I got a train at 7 a.m. back into London to do a rehearsal the next day. And at the time, what a badge of honor. Look how busy I am. But did I need to do that gig the next day? No, I didn't. So I think it's taken me a while, but now I think, right, if I say yes to something now, what am I saying no to in the future? And I think it comes with age, and if you stay in the industry. But yeah, I think understanding that your value is more than just the time you spend on the stage. I think it's kind of trying to train yourself to be like, I need to be a fully charged human to function and not just industry ready all the time. Yeah.
And something that you just said there about having a badge of honor, I think that is such a trap that people fall into all of the time, because especially in this world where we're posting everything on social media all the time as well. And it's like, look at everything I'm doing. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And oh my God, I got up at this time in the morning and I did this and I went to that class, but then I did that job and I actually met someone for lunch, but then I still went and did some more work after that. And people are posting it on their stories and all the rest of it. And I think a lot of people look at that sort of thing and feel quite, not saying that everyone's responsible for themselves, but it can probably feel quite underwhelming to somebody who's looking at them when they think about their own lives, when they go, I got up and I went to the office this morning and now I'm home having my dinner. Do you know what I mean?
It's the most toxic thing about this industry. And I say it all the time, is that you have to be booked and blessed, but available. So it's like, look how busy I am, but I will drop everything. And it's like, you can't do both. And it's so hard, I think. And again, because of social media now, and it's magnified it. I remember when I first graduated, when I was in third year at Performing Arts College, Facebook just come out. That's how old I am. I don't know if I'm allowed to break the fourth wall, but I am. But yeah, and I remember when it first come out. And so nowadays, if I ever do the odd job or I'm lecturing at colleges and as graduates, I think there's an additional weight added on. And social media is amazing. It's given me jobs. I know people that have got jobs, but also it's like, you need positive mental health online as well. And I think, as you said there, social media now adds an extra weight to it for sure.
Yeah, too much expectation.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity or anything that you have said no to with mindfulness in mind, or, you know, whether it's just being that your schedule's too packed, that then following that you've regretted it?
Oh my gosh. I'm always a cup half full, so there's probably times when I'm like, but it's fine, it's meant I've done this. I'm trying to think of something. There's definitely been some instances. There was actually, I was thinking about this the other day, there was a job I had that was 3 days a week in arts marketing, which at the time was really good and supplementing my other performance career. And then I left to go full-time in journalism. And I'm not regretful at all, because I needed that to then get to where I am now. But now I look back and thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice now if I had that 3-day stability now as I'm building my podcast or I'm lecturing more. So I don't necessarily regret it, but there's definitely times when it served a purpose and I'm like, maybe it was the wrong place, wrong time, if that makes sense, for opportunities. But I had it the other day. There was a presenting job that come up, which was so shiny, but I've got a friend's 40th coming up and I paid to go. And obviously I don't want to obviously let my friend down, and I had to say no. So that's still quite raw, but I'm like, no, I need to value time with all our friends. Everyone's so busy, you hardly see each other now. So I need to spend time with my friends that weekend. I've invested in that friendship, I've invested money. That job will come back round, or at least I've got that connection now. So it's a warm lead. So let me send them my updated show reel next year, things like that.
God, that's a tough decision.
Yes, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, I want to do this, I was going to be working, but then it's like, actually, I saw some video the other day and it's like, oh, I want to value my friends and family. And they looked at the calendar and they're like, oh, I'll see them in 6 weeks' time. And it's like, actually, if I want to see my friends and family, I've got to make an effort to and not just keep saying yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be like therapy for me today.
Yeah, sorry. Right, yeah, let's go deep. No, so with that then, would you say, look, with our podcast being called Performing in Life,
yes,
how would you define that for you? What does performing in life look like?
And I think if you are in the creative world, it intertwines with like your being. So there's always that element, I guess, of being performative. Quite often they are the life of the party, they're good at networking, talking to people. So I guess if you're in the arts, you are probably that bubbly person, not everyone. So I think I always say I feel like I'm a puppy. The more people I'm around, the more excited I get and the more energized I get. So for me, I think performing in life is connection and it's people. And those times when I am working completely remotely, I do notice a difference, I think, in myself. So I think, performing in life, it's great because in the arts, we're always in sales, aren't we? We're selling ourselves, selling our skills. So I just think
it's all networking.
It is. And I meet so many amazing performers now that have gone on to do other careers. And I'm like, it's those transferable skills from being a performer, whether you've been in it for 2 years, 20 years. So I think you're always performing. So yeah, I think it's the art stays with you.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question about transferable skills. And if you were, because you lecture as well, don't you? And if you were to give young people a bit of advice about actually the things that you should take from the performing arts that you can apply in any industry or just generally in life as a way to thrive or survive or perform in life, what would that be?
People buy into people. And I think we sometimes think, oh, I need this credit or this credit. But like, if you're a nice person, you're punctual, you show up, you retain information, you show willingness. Those are those soft skills that will allow you to thrive in the industry and beyond or creative adjacent. And I think we focus so much on, look what I can sing, look what how high I can kick or jump. Yeah. But like, I always say when I'm lecturing, like everyone will get a first job, but not everyone will get a second job, because if they don't like you or they don't buy into you, you'll get that first job because they don't know you. Yeah. And then once they know you, you're not going to work again. Well, if you're nice and you are attentive and you retain information and you bring the morale up, that's who you want on the set on a long day. That's who you want sat next to you on a casting panel who's going to bring the energy. Those are the skills. I think, transferable skills. And I had this the other day with someone who they wanted to go more into like TV and working in a bar or restaurant. Those skills are also transferable. Dealing with difficult clients, dealing with stock, taking inventory, dealing with money and finance. Those are transferable skills as well. So I think start looking at yourself through that lens of like, right, what skills do I have that's employable? Why are people employing me? Yeah. So I think being a performer or creative, you are absolute gold. And like any parent who's listening, and you're supporting your child and you think, oh, it's a wishy-washy career, which I get, but I just think what they learn will be, you can just pick it up and plop it down. I've met former ballet dancers who are sommeliers, who are tree surgeons, who are like Pilates instructors, photographers, directors. And I'm like, what? And it's this sommelier, like literally flies around the world doing pairings on yachts of wine and steak, but they were former soloists. And I'm like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I must do that.
Yeah. I think there's something, it's almost like the military. I kind of feel like if you train in the arts, it sets you up for pretty much anything that you could go into. And you're right in what you say. It is very much about you're selling yourself, essentially, and people buy people. Exactly. It's very, very true. So with that then, you come across as a very confident person. And a lot of that is drummed in through performing arts training and all the rest of it. What comes first, though? Do you think confidence comes first or success comes first? Does success feed the confidence?
Oh, gosh, I think success compounds, doesn't it? Like you have to keep doing to be more successful. So it's almost like, arguably, like courage and then confidence.
Yeah.
And I definitely think in the arts, it's that fake it till you make it. But then I always say fake it till you make it, but then learn. Because obviously there's only so far you can get with it. So I think... yeah, you have to just put the first foot in front of the other, don't you, really? So I think just go, the courage and confidence. And sometimes we've all met someone that walks in a room and they've got that energy, and it's that charisma, it's that energy, the courage, confidence, I think lends itself to success and the career. So I think, you need to be comfortable in who you are and what you're selling. With that comes then, oh, I'm good at this, therefore this job is hiring this. Let's audition for it. Or I'm really good at this, but this job doesn't need it. I'm not going to waste my time with that. So I think having the confidence to do first kind of leads into success. That kind of answers the question.
Yeah. And I think, would you agree that there's a bit of a misconception around confidence? So many people, like you say, are faking it till they make it. Have you been privy to any experiences where I think a lot of the time, as soon as the camera starts rolling, people are on, and they come across as if they are the most confident person in the world. And the moment that stops again, then back into their quiet shell and all the rest of it. Is that something you've come across a lot? Yeah,
and I'm very fortunate. I get to do a lot of like red carpet interviewing and vox pops, and it's amazing the amount of actors who, when I maybe try and speak to them just on like a human level of like, did you enjoy the show or the film, or what was it like working on this? They freeze, or they don't, because as an actor you're a character. This is my brief, I'm going to hit that. And then I'm like, oh, just you as a human, did you do it? They're like, oh. And so it's quite funny. I think sometimes there's that armor that comes from like switching something on. So definitely I do see that. I think now with social media, as great as it is, you're getting a lot of people online that they can edit a video. So that 1 30-second viral high intensity clip took them like 7 hours. Or they've got a team behind them, and I think that can sometimes feed into that falseness too much. So I guess it's understanding you still need to deliver on your promise, I think. But there's definitely people that are overly confident. I've been to auditions when someone's put a credit on the CV, not realizing that that person was in the show on the panel, and they're like, I don't remember you in that. And it's like, that was back in my heyday of dancing. But you see some horror stories of that. So I think, it's trying to then marry the confidence with the actual proof of concept and the skills. But it's that whole chicken and egg, isn't it? Like, you need the job to get the skills, but like you need to have the confidence to get the job. So it's kind of that loop. So it's just trying to slowly edge forward, I guess, on both things as you build your career.
God, fake it till you make it. But putting rogue things on your CV, that's a little bit scary. You are going to get caught out somewhere along the line. It's like Joey in Friends when he says he can talk French and he absolutely can't.
Exactly.
Oh, crikey, what a situation to be in. So one of the features of our podcast is we have the prop basket.
Okay.
And we ask each guest to bring in a prop or an item or something that is important to them or something they use daily, or something along those lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick look in the prop basket.
Okay.
And we are going to take a look at what you have brought with you today.
Okay, so I brought this very tatty old piece of paper with me.
I love that.
Yes.
The paper does look like it's from 1902.
It does, vintage, in my day. So I got this when I was about 12.
Okay.
And my family saved up, and I was so fortunate. They took us to Disney in Florida. And we went on a tour of like all the Imagineers. Like, we went behind the scenes, and someone just drew this for me. And every show we went to, I'd try and talk to the dancers. And I remember specifically at Epcot, there was like a Stomp-esque act that had like music and dances, and after I'd run up to speak to all the dancers and be like, how did you do this? Yeah, I was about 12 and my mum still brings it up. She was like, oh, was that time in Disney that you knew? And then since then I've worked for Failed Entertainment, which was Disney Live. I've worked at Tokyo Disney and for Disney special events.
Wow.
So I think it was definitely like a time, because I think when you're a teenager you start realising like, do I want to do this full time or not?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is my very tatty piece of paper.
And that was the moment it all started.
Yeah, I think so. Because I was quite a hobbyist as I was growing up. When I was like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And my mum, budget-wise, would be like, okay, try that for a lesson, try that, obviously. And then it's like, you've got to pick one now because it's too expensive. And eventually I was like, yeah, dance is the one for me.
Okay.
But I think that helps solidify kind of like, it become a bit more than this a hobby then, to be like, right, I want to do this.
So if that moment had never happened, where do you think you would have gone? What do you think you would be doing?
I don't know. I've always loved film, absolutely loved it. And I did that at like college before going to performing arts, like film and media. So I think maybe something in like TV and film. Yeah, because I just love, like whenever I've been on set, like I just love watching how everything works.
How it all works, yeah.
And how like the sound and the runners and like production, how it all links. Like, I love that. So maybe something TV and film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that moment for me is seeing all those people and I was like, oh, they get paid for this.
Yeah. There's something really mesmerizing about Disney. With Stagecoach, we work with Disney a lot. And for me, don't get me wrong, I love a Disney movie and all the rest of it. And I've been to Disneyland umpteen times with work. Yeah. Never really been on any of the rides. I'm there to sort of like do a job. Do you know what I mean? So it's fine. But for me, I think the magic of it is the intricacy of absolutely everything, the thought that has gone into every little detail around the park and just the atmosphere that it creates. Yeah. Is really exciting. And I think that's the thing that sort of transports you to somewhere and builds all of those memories. Because I think if you think back, a lot of people think they won't remember being on a ride, but they'll remember just being in the park. Yeah,
that time they met a face character, or the time they like tried. When I lived in Japan for a year and a half at Tokyo Disney, and the level of detail there is wild. Like everything is so intricate, and like they have different popcorn flavors for different lands you're in, whether you're in Agrabah or like there's like a gorgeous honey one if you're by Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, it's the level of attention and detail. Yeah, was just insane, and I think that as well. Like I like strategy as well as like dance, and knowing with Disney and the IP and the brand and the messaging, I quite like that as well. So I think, that was quite a pivotal moment for me. I think seeing these people, let's have a good time.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's the thought and the detail. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And I think that's what really excites me just generally about the arts as well, because behind every piece of work, there is somebody really incredible and thoughtful about everything. So it could be anything down to, I don't know, Steven Spielberg all the way through to Matthew Bourne. Do you know what I mean? They have a vision and there's a thought and there's, everything goes into it. I think it's incredible. Speaking of vision and thoughts, you have your very own podcast.
Yes.
The Business of Show Business. Yeah. And tell us a little bit more about that. How did that come about? Was that something that kind of came off your own back, or did you get approached by somebody? What was your thought process behind it?
I think because when I started segueing from dance into the world of like media and arts marketing, I was just learning so much about selling a show and assets and digital presence. I was like, oh, I wish I'd done that as a performer. Or like, why didn't no one taught me about that? Or like, that will help me get more work if people know who I am, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So the more I was working in marketing, I was like, hang on a minute, there's definitely something here. And then I was doing loads of courses as well. And then I think I then did a public workshop I think I've been in marketing like 3 years. So this was like back in like 2017, 2018. I did like a first public workshop, and then it's called Performer Branding. And people were liking it. And I was like, oh. And then, so the podcast originally launched in 2020. I did 4 years of just audio, and then last year I brought it back with video as well. Okay. So it's a combination of me sharing my experience of marketing shows, or as a journalist being on press for shows, or I've interviewing creatives as well. So whether that's a PR expert, an actor, a director, casting specialist, and kind of asking the same questions of like, what is this industry and why do you love it? And how can someone navigate it more easily? So it's kind of a combination of that. But again, looking at it through a business lens of how can you monetize your skills maybe more, or understanding what your brand is and how that interacts with your casting type. And as you said earlier, having that longevity, really.
Yeah. And what's where do your ideas come from for your podcast? So when you're thinking, oh, I'd love to have them on, do you want to have somebody on because you know that there is a certain angle that they're going to come from that you really want to portray? Or do you sort of buy into somebody and go, yeah, they'll generally be good, and then everything that comes out of that is just the magic that naturally happens?
For the most part, it's the first one. Just kind of think there's a unique look at the industry. Like, I want that. I want someone that, because there's so many amazing theatre and entertainment podcasts out there, and that's great. But I was like, I want something different. I want someone that's happy maybe to talk about how to market a show, the budget and finance. I want someone to talk about the casting process. So let's like peek behind the curtain. So it's always trying to look for specifics. And although I do have some guests that sit in similar orbits, I'm like, I always want someone that's maybe got something slightly different than the last guest. Or as time's gone on, people have wrote in with questions. I'm thinking, okay, let's let that steer who comes on next, really. And like trying to not just be theatre specific, because as we know now, so many people start in theatre and they move into TV, film, production, so many other avenues. I'm trying to think, right, let's get transferable skills. So let's get someone who was an actor and now they're a PT, someone that was a dancer and now they're a journalist, and things like that. So kind of try and go for specifics.
So you mentioned that you get people who write in with questions, or you get comments, whether it's on your socials and stuff like that. How does that feel when that first starts happening and you really notice that people are paying attention and taking an interest in what you're doing?
I think one of the most amazing moments for me was, I can't remember what season it was ago, but I had 3 people on who were performers but worked quite heavily in property, and I had someone message me and said, because of your episode, and someone mentioned like buy to rent, I managed to buy a flat up in Scotland near a theatre that they're obviously not going to live in, but they're going to rent it out as like a touring venue. Okay. Because she's like, I always thought I had to try and save up to buy a flat or a house for myself, and I can't afford that. However, she thought, she lives in London, found somewhere up in Scotland, cheaper flat, and did that. And that for me was such an amazing moment. I thought, and that's not necessarily someone saying, I got booked a show because of your podcast. It was someone saying, I've managed to get a residual like income now, like, from those specialists. So that was a really lovely moment. I was like, okay. Yeah, then when questions come in, it is really nice, because I think, and you get it as well, because you get lovely questions come in. I think sometimes people are scared to admit that they don't know
They don't know the answer. Yes, exactly that.
And even now, I'm trying, the last couple of years, trying to have such a push on like ownership, being like, I don't know, and that is okay. Yeah. Where rewind 5-6 years ago, I'd always try and come up with an answer if I didn't know something. Yeah. And it's actually okay not to know. Yeah. So I find it really brave when someone does write in. And hopefully most of the time I do know. If not, I know someone in my network to be like, you know what, let me speak to that person and find out for you. And it's that whole idea, isn't it, of like a high tide lifts all ships. It's like we should all be trying to help each other, where quite often in the arts it is kind of keeping your cards quite close to your chest sometimes. Yeah,
everybody's a little bit not out for themselves is the wrong thing, because I've always had a really good experience of the arts industry. I know like there is an age-old thing of it's got a reputation for being bitchy and everybody's out there for themselves and all the rest of it. But I've always found anytime I've reached out, everybody's there to help and sort of like all marry together and let's do what we can do. Yeah. Which is really good. The other thing that I wanted to ask you is, with that, you just said something and no. Edit this bit out. You just said something and it made me think of something really good and now I can't remember. Okay. Anyway, I'll come back to it. Yeah. It's fine. So with every person that listens to your podcast and the questions that come in, what has been the moment where you've gone, do you know what? I feel like I'm really doing something. I feel like I've really got a purpose here with what I'm doing.
It's so lovely that you asked that, because I always say to my partner, some jobs I do, the older I get, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm contributing. But with the podcast, I'm like, I feel like I'm contributing to, not the world, but you know what I mean? I'm like helping someone. And because it kind of goes alongside my lecture series at colleges, it's so nice when someone like says to me like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, I didn't realize like that was of value that I've done that. Or like, I've just had some time off, but I'm like coming back to it now. And like, you made me feel like I can at least send a good email. Because again, it's so little. Sometimes the performance, we don't know how to send an email. We can be like, look how good I can dance or sing. But then when it's like, but tell me how good you are, people are like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. So it's even though there's little messages I get when they're like, I was working as a mentor at a ballet school, and someone said, thank you, I wrote an email to a ballet company and they've now invited me in to go to an audition. And this person was like, I don't know how to send an email. I've got like an amazing show reel, but like, how do I succinctly tell someone
The
who
structure,
I am?
yeah, all of that sort of thing. Yeah.
Time is money. How do I not send like a 20 paragraph email? So yeah, it is really nice when you get someone say that type of thing. You're like, okay, because you might find it as well, but you do sometimes yourself, you feel a bit deflated sometimes, or you feel like you've maybe gone off your path and you're like, should I continue? Should I stop? And then you'll get those messages and you're like, no, it's definitely worth like staying on this trajectory.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, that can be fed from, because we all work so hard all of the time. And it's with everything, and I suppose with every industry, you take on certain projects and you do different things and they have such mixed outcomes. Do you know what I mean? Some things will be really successful, some things won't, but then suddenly something will happen in that thing that you think isn't a success, and it turns it around, which is a really nice sort of 360 a way of doing it. Speaking of successes, how cool was it to be in Bridgerton?
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely loved it. And that was, how old was I at the time? I was early 30s. And again, it was so funny in the audition because as it was going on, they were like, those that are 22 and under on this side, those that are up to 30 and everyone on 30 on this side. But they needed older people as well. And I wasn't even old. I was like 30, 31.
Yeah.
But it was such a lovely experience from everything to being on a project from season, so I did season 1 and season 2, and season 1 particularly, because it was all new. We worked with the same people on and off for, it must have been 8 months, like not necessarily filming every day, but you know what I mean? Like a couple of days here, a week or 2 here. It was just so lovely to work with people and be on this like massive production where like everyone would sit on the same tables. I remember filming the very first ball, which was outside, and it was night shoots. It was like 4 a.m. or a bit before that. And the fireworks are going and you just think, this is an amazing job. Like, I can actually just stop and be like, it's great to actually be here.
When you were doing season 1, was there a bit of a vibe or a feeling that it was going to be something big? Because obviously you didn't know up until that point. When you're filming the first season of something, until it's out there and people are watching it, you have no idea. But was there something that sort of led you to think, hey, this is going to be a success because of the cast and stuff like that?
I don't think I knew what it would be. And I think also because it launched on Christmas Day because obviously we filmed before COVID and it came out on the Christmas Day of the COVID and no one had anything else to do but sit and watch. And this show was so different from the casting, the sauciness of it, the grandeur of it all. So I think I felt so lucky to be on this project because I'd heard of dancers that were older than me being on shows or TV shows or films that were filming for months. But obviously as time was going on, like budgets were getting cut, filming was less. So whenever I've been on set before, it'd only been for like 2 or 3 days. So to be on consistently, and like not every dancer was used for every ball, but we were used quite consistently over that period. So I knew it was like something fun and exciting, but I don't think I knew it would be as big as it was.
Huge as
and I was so fortunate. In episode 1, there's one shot when it comes to like my face.
Oh, really?
When like Daphne's scanning the ball for like suitors.
Yeah.
And I went into my local coffee shop and she was like, obviously she wouldn't know I was a dancer, but we would chat all the time. She was like, are you in Bridgerton? And I was like, yes. And she was like, I thought it was weird that you were in it because obviously she had no idea. And that for me, it was like, I never get recognised at all. And obviously when you're filming something, there's like 7 cameras. You have no idea what shot's going to be in. And that for me was a really nice moment to be like, oh,
was that your Cheryl Cole moment?
That was.
Did you have to do it? You can't just go down to the garage and get a pint of milk.
I can't now. I was like, no photos. I was like, will you name this drink after me? They did not.
Brilliant. The other thing that I was thinking about with that is there's a colleague of mine who can't watch Bridgerton because it's just too raunchy. and I think that is absolutely hilarious in this day and age. But everyone loves it though, don't they? They absolutely love it. And it has got so much to it. There's so much, again, what we talked about earlier, the thought and the detail and just how amazing the costumes are and the set and everything like that looks absolutely amazing. Did you, while you were there, did you get to meet the main cast? I'm guessing you did.
Yeah, we did. And like, what was funny, because at that point I was a qualified journalist. I was working, I was freelancing. And it's weird because I'd interviewed Jonathan Bailey at the Olivier's when he won for Company. And it was really unusual because obviously they speak to so many journalists, so they wouldn't necessarily remember who you are. But it was just so funny when it was like, oh, I met you before, but like in a really different like capacity. But yeah, the cast were really nice. And So I did season 1 and 2 and a little bit of season 3. And we were always filming either the day of my birthday or the day before my birthday. And the dancers, anyway, would always sing or buy a cake or something, which was sweet. But there was one time I think we was on set, and some of the actors, when they said, oh, it's Jamie's birthday, they come up and said, like, happy birthday. It was just really sweet. It was just really nice. But if we go back to maybe one of your earlier points on, like, regret, or not, it's not regret, but season 3, because dates always change. I did a little bit of season 3, and then some of the dates changed. At that point, I just accepted a full-time role at the stage newspaper. And when the dates changed, I had not been there long enough to accrue enough holiday to be like, I need like 10 days off.
Yeah.
So I had to say no. And that was obviously such a hard point, but I had to be like, right, I need to almost not let go of who I was, but I need to move forward towards my goals, looking at them, as opposed to going towards my goals, looking backwards at who I was.
Yeah.
And that was a real point for me when I was like, is this the right decision? And I was like, but I can't turn down like a full-time role in this industry publication for like a 10-day job.
Yeah.
So that was kind of piggybacking off like a previous question, going, there are still some times when there is still some friction, but it was definitely the right choice at the time, because again, that got me to where I am now. It gave me other connections and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's really key. Somebody once said to me quite recently, actually, and I thought it was a really good point, and you just don't think about it yourself, is when something comes along like that, or when you've done something, it's not that sort of attitude of, you don't ever want to get to a point of like being there, done that, because you never know when things are going to come around again. But it's you're good enough for the next thing, because do you know what, you've done that, you're good enough to do that, and now you're good enough for this next thing that's come along as well. As in, like, you're already there.
Exactly.
Because we're always berating ourselves, like, you know, am I good enough to do this? Should I carry on? Should I stop? Well, you know, how does that feel, sort of thing. But I think just knowing that, yes, you're good enough for that next opportunity because it's been given to you, no matter what you're doing with it at that point, it's just like, you know, take that bit of self-love.
And like be willing to receive that as well, isn't it? Because again, you're always thinking, am I good enough? Should I have done that? And it's quite nice. And you can always take something from each job. Even from that, as a journalist, when I'm pitching myself freelancing or for event coverage, I can I've been on set with talent. I know that time is limited. I know the type of questions to ask from someone that's been on a 12-hour set day that sometimes get you more exclusive like sound bites. So there's even skills from that as a performer that as a journalist now I can bring on and be like, oh, I know that person like from when I did this set, or actually I know the AP on that now. Like, so there's, I think you can always take something from each job, but it's hard, isn't it, when you're offered something?
Yes.
Especially as a performer, and you feel like I have to say yes, but actually just stop and think, this door's open now. Let's see where that goes.
Yeah, and that constant worry of burning bridges as well, because there are also a lot of very fragile personalities, and if you say no to someone, they don't like it very much. So we obviously encourage young people to follow their passion. And do you think that that's enough, or do you think there is more needed nowadays in young people understanding the business side of things, and also really recognizing what transferable skills are? I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but what I notice a lot of the time with young people, because they're seeing other young people have so much ease on social media through instant success, that almost the graft, they don't want to do the graft necessarily, and anything you tell them is in like, but that's how it works and that's what you got to do, they don't want to know about it. What are your thoughts around that?
Oh, it's so hard, isn't it? Because again, if I have like rose tinted glasses and it's all rainbows and unicorns, I'm like, just follow your passions, everything will click. And you need that passion and drive and to remember your why. But it's also like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? Who do you know? There's so many other things to layer up on top of that. But I don't think you should have that weight too early on. Like, just enjoy the industry. It's amazing. Go to class, do dance comps, festivals, showcases. But as you start getting older, I think if it is something you want to do as a vocation, there's so much more to it. And I think, as you said there, nail on the head, like, you do have to graft still. You've got to cut your teeth, because the more jobs you do, the more people you know, and the more people that know that you're good at something, the more jobs you will get. It is that loop. So I think, you need to be passionate, because again, if you're not passionate about it, if you're just good at it, but you don't actually care that much, that's also going to do you a disservice, because you're then not going to enjoy what you're doing. So I think, yes, have passion, follow it, but then start layering on everything else. And I think, again, I've worked in arts marketing for years, so I've seen the amazing things that can come from social media. I've got jobs from social media, seen jobs applying straight away. However, I've seen the negative side of it as well. And I think that comparison, because sometimes someone can just do something, or it's taken them weeks to get to that one trick, and then they post it and you're like, wow, but you don't know how many hours of private lessons they've done there, how much. It might be someone that's family's got all the money and
in the world.
all the money, and there's no stress. They go to as many private lessons as they want. They can go and see this and this. Like, so it's almost like you're comparing their final product to your start. But it's hard when you're young, isn't it? Because you see that and we compare and we're like, I want to do that. And I think the goalposts change all the time. So what is a trend now, a show that's open may close, your dream show may not even be written yet, like this employer or this agent's big but they're not big into it. Like, the goalposts always change. So I think having an understanding of those other attributes of like the business side, your well-being, managing finances will help you continue on, as opposed to someone who's maybe a flash in the pan but then they die out. But then trying to articulate that to someone who's early doors in their career is very hard. So, like, hats off to your parents. Like, that's amazing.
I know. Well, this is it. It's literally everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's all around you. Whether it's, you know, a lot of parents don't let their children have mobile phones or, you know, social media accounts. But then at the same time, you've got YouTube, which, you know, strictly speaking, I know is social media. But at the same time, it's much more accessible to, you've got YouTube Kids and stuff like that. And there's a lot of informative stuff on there. But young people are always going to gravitate towards what's exciting or what I could be, or, you know, what I could be doing. When you and I were younger, it was like
last year, really young.
But I mean, going to school, you'd probably, the only comparison you do is who's got a better pencil case than what you have. Do you know what I mean? It was as simple as that. I am not envious now of people who are training who have social media. Because again, I'm a big advocate of, like, you need to be on it in this industry, not necessarily just to showcase yourself, but to find opportunities and connect with people. But that comparison of having to post or how many likes you've got must be exhausting. And like, they used to say, didn't they, before social media, no one got famous in their bedroom, because obviously you'd have to go do a open mic night. You'd go to an open call. You would go to lots of classes or scratch nights, and you would maybe meet someone would be there. Well, now you can, quote unquote, become famous from at home. But I interview a lot of influencers as a journalist, and I see the toll it sometimes takes of constantly having to produce content. And if you've got a massive team behind you, maybe it's easier. But if you're up and coming, like, likes don't always pay the bills. They're getting a free ticket to a show. They're getting a free product. But you still got to pay your mortgage. You've got to pay your rent. You've got to travel somewhere. So it's also, social media sometimes blurs the line of what is success and sustainable and what isn't. It's a blurred thing of the rich and famous, isn't it? Because the only reason why a lot of famous people are wealthy is because they're not spending any money, because people are sending them free stuff all the time. So the bank balance isn't necessarily the millions that you think it is. It's just they're getting experiences.
Exactly.
With you and your experience, how important would you say is personal branding to an individual? And what are some top tips or like quick wins that you say, the do's and the don'ts?
I think for anyone who's listening, who's getting more towards being a professional, young professional, or someone in the industry, personal branding is crucial. If you're still young and you're a hobbyist, don't worry, just enjoy the industry, keep going to class. But personal brand, I think I've been obviously banging on about it for years now, marketing and understanding, and people think, oh, what is it? Like, do I just put it on? But it's like, it's a combination of so many things, down to like your personality, your values, how you show up. So many factors make up your brand, and then how it's hopefully curated by yourself in your communication, how you are in person, how you are online. Like, the in-person and the online need to match. That is all what branding is. It's that uniformity, and it's that, are you copy and pasteable? Not as in like I say the same 5 things and it's the same bio on every platform, but who you are now, like chasing life, is who you are online. Great. That's like synergy. That's lining up. It's when you get someone that has all these amazing airbrush photos, edited their show reel within an inch of their life, so they look phenomenal. They've got all this professional email manner, and then they turn up, they're late, they're rude, they don't retain information, they're really obnoxious. It's things like that. That's a disconnect of your brand there. So your branding is that whole combination of things. And once you know who you are, it gives you a really good lens to look through when you're making decisions. Like now I can look at job opportunities and be like, does that align with my goals, my values, what I want to do, my financial goals, whatever it is, as opposed to thinking, yes, I must take it. And then thinking, actually, is that serving me? So I think it's really important. I think depending on where you are in your career, obviously, if you are younger and you've got parent-run accounts,
yes,
make sure then that the wording you use and stuff, because I've seen this when some parents run accounts, but they almost talk as if they're the parent.
Yeah.
And that's a disconnect. I'm not saying you should be messaging someone as the young child, not at all. But what is the brand of this child now? What are they doing? Are they in the dance comp scene? Are they in a musical? What aligns with their brands that you feel comfortable doing? So I think tips you can do is, first of all, do like a little audit, sit down, open a private browser or an incognito window, type in your name, what comes up?
Yeah.
Do you show up on that first page of Google? If you're, say you're in your late teens, early 20s, what's the first thing that comes up? Is it a student film you did from like 10 years ago that's old? Is it an old headshot you've not updated? There's a disconnect. So I think do a little brand audit first of all, and then start thinking, right, who am I in person? How does that match online? Is my email manner the same? It doesn't have to be like, dear reader. But if that's not you, maybe voice record yourself saying what an email will be and then type it out so it matches. Does your headshot match your casting type in your brand right now? I always give examples like, I'm originally from Essex, and I remember so clearly when I come back from traveling, I went to an acting workshop and all we had to do was send a headshot and like our stats. Age, location, and back then the theme for headshots was like buy exposed bricks.
Yeah.
And they gave you a script based on what they thought your initial casting type was.
Yeah.
And everyone else in the workshop got a script that matched them. I didn't.
Yeah.
I got like East London rough gangster type because my photo was like really like moody by a brick wall.
Yeah.
A brick wall, and I'm from Essex, so they thought. Obviously, like I worked at Disney, like the elastic's gone in my face from smiling. Like there was such a disconnect, and it was such an eye-opening moment because I thought, what opportunities am I missing? Because my packet, my material is not actually matching what I'm selling.
Yeah.
That was such an eye-opening moment for me. So I think, just do a little bit of brand audit, get all your materials together, and just think, right, let's start at a baseline. Who am I? And then you can start like layering up more.
In your opinion, can you think of any good examples of public figures or people out there who do that well on socials?
And I guess also we should say to navigate, like, because I lectured at college and someone said they wanted to be an influencer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what do you want to influence someone on? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so like, you need to be of influence. Like, are you in the lifestyle? Are you in entertainment? Are you in sports? Are you like what? So if you do want to be an influencer, that's a whole other thing. Quite often now, that is a byproduct of being an established actor.
Yes.
Understanding they're very two different. If that comes as a byproduct of you performing, great. If you just want to be that, you've got to rebrand yourself or look at yourself in a different way. I guess the most in theatre, Hannah Lowther, she does
very well.
She's very well. She's incredibly media trained, I think. So whenever I've interviewed her at press nights, she always phrases the question back. She's very energy, bubbly. So every time I met her, she matches her online presence.
Yeah.
Yes, there's probably times when she is tired because she's in an amazing touring show and she's producing content in her downtime.
Yeah.
But because she's on such an elevated platform, she's open to a lot more ridicule. But I think she's obviously a perfect example of someone who's a lovely brand in person and online, and it fits into her casting type. That's not to say she can't do anything else, but at the moment, like with Heathers, with Legally Blonde, perfect fit, right?
Oh, 100%.
Not to say that she can't do other shows, but at the moment, that's what her brand is, and she's owning it, and she's been successful in it,
well,
which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she a few times that I've met her, actually, she's been absolutely lovely, and completely matches what you would see on socials.
Yeah, everyone that I met that knows her well, they're like, that's Hannah on and off camera. But yeah, there are people who will be nameless, who aren't bad people, but again, their personas, this, that. But then, like, as soon as the camera's off, that's like, muted. They don't talk unless it's like directed to about that product and things like that.
Yeah, sunglasses on, look away.
So shy, don't look at me.
So thinking about the things that you get up to in terms of the different jobs that you do, what preparation do you do before going into hosting like a major event? What does that look like? Do you have anything that any little rituals or anything that you kind of do beforehand to make sure that you feel like prepped within an inch of your life and you're going to have the most successful show?
Yes. I think I've always been an over-preparer, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
It's bad sometimes because I'll stress myself out, but it's so good because I have such a structure, but I can also like get rid of it. And there's this whole like rule in improv when they say hold on tightly, let go lightly. And I love that because it's like prep, be ready.
Yeah.
But then if someone says something in an interview that's really shiny, get rid of the script. That's what we want. That's that special, unique angle. That's the exclusive. So I think I like to prep, but I'm also quite good at being on the spot. And I've done improv, and that helped me a lot as a presenter because it's the whole idea of, yes, and what am I going to say? What am I going to ask? So for me, I'm like prep, but understanding that I can throw it all away. Also research. I always try and find, like if I'm interviewing an actor, I'll look on their social media and is there like a holiday they've been on, or have they done this or that, or got a hobby that I can maybe pull in to like warm them up first, as opposed to going in straight with the junket question of, what is this product about? What is this film about? Obviously, sometimes you have time restraints and you're literally given 3 minutes, so you have to be more like that. But I always try and find maybe like a nice hook or way in. So yeah, I'm a prepper. Yeah. Maybe could prep slightly less to avoid some of the stress.
Yeah.
But that's how I
Because then when you prepare, do you feel that you have to stick to it like actually like down to every single detail? So say if you've prepped like 5 questions and you've got 3 minutes, instead of saying to yourself, actually, let me pick the key 3, and then if I've got time, I'll do the others, or are you like, no, I've got 5, I have to shoehorn them in?
I will always be reactive to the situation.
Okay.
Because I think having that baseline is great, but I think do not be stapled to it. And I've seen this before where like a journalist has asked someone and they've said something so funny or so like quite deep and endearing, and they've brushed over it because they want to ask, oh, what's this for? And I'm like, no, that was the shiny thing.
Yeah.
You always have to understand who is this interview for?
Yeah.
What is the publication? What is their ideal audience?
Yeah.
And that's another thing if we go back to influencers who are doing so much more presenting now. And it's amazing because some of them thrive, and that's a lovely segue in. For a lot of them, their audience is so defined that when they're plunked in a different environment, they do not work as a presenter.
Yeah.
They do not work as an interviewer because their end goal audience is not aligned with that show, that film, that product. And as I said, you see people that are amazing and people that sink because of it. So I think you always have to remember, who are you? If I'm interviewing someone for a publication, I do need to understand who is the ideal client, who is it for, who are the readership. If it's for my own podcast, I've obviously got so much more flex on who and what I ask. So I think that's obviously a big thing with your questions. But I always say have them so you feel calm and your baseline. You've got 5 questions if you need, but if you only get through 2 and then there's something else said that's really fun, unique or exclusive, or they may remember you, that's what you want to go with, because it's all about relationships. So whether that PR knows you asked that question, or that actor, because there's a few actors I see on red carpets now, they won't remember my name, but they remember me because I said something, or they're like, the guy who wore this, or you're the guy who said this, or like, you're the guy who offered me water at the end of this junket line. Like, it's things like that as well, that long-term impression is also worth the value of just that interview as well. Yeah.
No, that's a really key point. And I think so many people try to stay within the confines all the time that actually they don't thrive in the way that they could if they just sort of went with it a little bit. And I think that comes back to what you were saying about, you know, the training, and with you, improv has been like a massive thing and helped in that sort of situation as well. So yeah,
I think you just understand, again, it's with age, everything becomes clearer, doesn't it? Like hindsight 2020, but understanding, I was always quite quick-witted, and my humor was always very like situational, but then I was like, I never thought of myself as an MC compere until a couple of years ago when someone like really pushed me to be a compere, and I was like, it's not for me. I'm like a presenter. I thought I was good at lives and pre-records and like junkets and press lines, but someone's like, no. And then from that one job as being a MC, I then got booked to do another job that was in like Greece, like Mykonos, and then another job, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually a really amazing alignment of my skills. But then with age, I can then look at myself and think, actually, my skills do work for that now. But when you're younger, you don't necessarily value them all, or you think, I'm only known as this, so I must just do this.
Yeah. And also it's scary, isn't it? Stepping out of that comfort zone and doing something different sometimes. And I think, like you say, with age, I think it's something that actually you're like, well, what have I got to lose? Let's give it a go. And if they don't like it, they don't like it.
Exactly. And as they say, like, what you want is just on the other side of your comfort zone. Otherwise you'd already have it.
Yeah.
But say that to me, maybe when I'm like 17, 18 training, I'll be like, oh, I don't care. Like, I just want to dance. I want to do this one job.
Yeah.
When now I'm like, oh no, I should have thought, well, that's what I want to do. This is how I need to like get there, as opposed to just thinking it's just this one track.
Yeah.
You go down.
Because I suppose at that time, that's all you're hearing. Like constantly, that's all you're surrounded by. So
yeah.
So speaking of interviews and guests and stuff, standout guest or standout somebody that you've spoken to,
gosh,
on a red carpet, or whether it be in a different environment.
Let me think. There's been a few that I've absolutely loved.
Any oh my gods?
Well, you know what? When Waitress first come over, I got to speak to Sarah Bareilles.
Oh yeah,
Bareilles. Sarah
Bareilles. Yeah.
What was that? Needs more water. Sarah Bareilles, and she was so sweet. And Bake Off was just on, and we spoke about her favourite type of pie and how she loves the show. That was really lovely.
Yeah.
And weirdly, for a time, the person I'd interviewed the most was Patti LuPone, which sounds like wild because she was here for Company and the Olivier's, and there was just so many press events I was at that I just got to speak to her, and I was like, I've interviewed her 4 times this year. Like, that was just so random to me to be like this legend, this icon.
That's a really cool one. Yeah.
And since then, I've been so lucky to interview certain people again and again. But I always remember that year being like, oh, this is fabulous. I've got to interview this person this many times, and she's literally a legend, like an icon.
Is there anyone, and you don't have to name names here at all, but has there been anyone that you've been a little bit sort of like pumped or excited to speak to, or know you're going to speak to, and then being a bit like, oh, actually, that's quite underwhelming?
Yes. And there was one person who was probably, I would say, my biggest interview to date, who's an A-lister, Hollywood, older generation. And I asked them an open question, and somehow they managed to answer it closed. And I was like, that wasn't a yes or a no answer.
Yeah.
But like, how have you done that? It was just like, because I was at the very end of the press line, it was a movie premiere. So obviously they come down the conveyor belt. Everyone's asking these questions. So they've done like half an hour, 40 minutes already, got to me. And I had like nice questions to ask, because everyone else I'd asked, I'd got some real good nuggets.
Yeah.
And this person, I think, was just done. And also they're from that generation where media and press buy-in and social media wasn't as big.
Yeah.
They'd crafted their career before that.
Yeah.
And they weren't rude or bad. It was an American. It was just polite, but it was just very closed and very short. And I was like, oh, but it's so funny because that person from my generation that is huge. But I mentioned it to a younger person, I won't know. But when I mention I've interviewed someone from like Love Island, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind as well. When I say this other A-lister, some people are like, oh, but I go into college and I mention maybe some Love Islanders I've interviewed or been at events with, and they're like, stop it, tell me more. And it's so funny how the celebrity currency has changed a lot now. Yeah.
It's definitely much more fixated around people who are big on socials and reality TV.
Yeah.
I mean, reality TV keeps on regenerating, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just so out there.
And like a face sheet. When I used to go to press events, you get a face sheet. It's very Devil Wears Prada. It's everyone's face and their name, sometimes their handle. So beforehand, you research who do I want to ask, blah, 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 who I've interviewed before. You get a face sheet. Rewind 6, 7, 8 years ago, who you think would be on a face sheet. Those on telly, film, pop stars, models. Now, pages. Dad influencer, home influencer, science influencer, social media, TikTok, YouTube star. You just can't know everyone. Yes, working in pop culture, you have to know a hell of a lot of people. Yes. And even if you don't know everything, you know their face or their names. But now there's these people that are absolutely huge on one particular, like, whether they're gamers and they're on Switch. Yeah, so they're huge. Yeah. They're now getting invited to some of these events. And you're like, I don't know who this person is. Sometimes that's also a disconnect because they're getting invited because they're huge on this platform. But again, that audience is not going to translate to something
it's not
show.
Relative. Yeah.
So there's that whole thing as well of what producers want and all that. But yeah, I think nowadays like that it's changed so much as a journalist and presenter. Like who does someone want to speak to? Who's like of notoriety?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to ask you some questions, not just from me, but we have got some student questions for you. So we are going to bring you over the very glamorous Performing in Life tablet.
Okay.
iPads.
Hi, my name is Emma. I'm 10 years old, and I would like to know, how do the performing arts help in business?
Okay, Emma. So how does business help in performing arts.
Emma talks very quickly.
She
as
is,
well.
but she's got that energy. When I first worked in social media,
Yeah.
the amount of people that would send an email, like they'd be sat there and they'd send me this email and I'd literally be like, hey, like, this is answer. Like, people are not social in social media or marketing.
Yes.
That's changed a lot now, but I think being a performer, being engaging, making eye contact, having the confidence to pick up the phone, those skills as a performer are so helpful, Emma, in marketing and business. Like, you help you thrive. So being how to command a room, fake it till you make it, picking things up quickly and retaining. When my segue into marketing on Western shows was as an intern.
Yeah.
And after every day and I finished a task, I would then at the end of the day go up to someone saying, I've done this tomorrow, what can I do? Can I sit over someone's shoulder and watch this? And they were like, no one does that. Because again, being a performer, I was like, I want to learn, I want to be of value to you. Like, I want that applause, I want to be good. So like, I think being a performer is so transferable. Like you said, just showing up, dressing the part, like going to ballet class and having to put your tights on, like that's showing you need to dress for the job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you're going to turn up for like the audition for Cats as a cat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know how to dress well, you know how to command the room, you know how to distribute your energy, win people over. So I think, those performing skills, if you interview well, or someone, going back to people buying to people, I'm looking like Emma's right there, she's not there.
She might be.
She might be. People buying to people and energy.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard because someone who studied a more academic qualification, I don't know why I did that, academic is academic.
Yeah.
They might be slightly better at writing an email, but they don't know how to sell it in the room.
Yeah.
That's why like going to events and networking is so important, so you can show the energy.
People get to know you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Good.
And I
Is
think
there
we have
more?
a second question as well.
Yeah, if you
So I swipe. Swipe?
should be able to scroll. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sunny, age 11, and what inspires you to become an actor? Can you name the person who inspired you?
You know what? And I think this kind of feeds into the fact how I always wanted to do lots of different things.
Yeah.
My obsession with like any film or TV show would be huge. So I think when a film come out, I would watch it and I'd be like, I want to be that person. I want to be that friend. I want to be that one. So I don't know if there's an actual person, but there's been so many, it's like going back to that show at Disney and seeing that and seeing this cast. And I should have brought that photo actually, me with some of the cast. I think seeing that just made it real and tangible for me. So I think, this experience in Disney definitely helped shape me to do it more professionally. But now going back into it, and like, I've probably got one of those annoying brains when I watch a film and I'll say to my husband, I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. They were in this film. They were that, like, it's just like encyclopedic.
Yeah.
Because I was always obsessed with like, if a new film come out or a TV show, and I would like always try and do skits from it and stuff. So I think, multiple things. But I guess maybe going back to this might be quite a big steer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That moment.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. Thank you to our students for supplying questions. So you've interviewed people from the West End, household names, but is there a common trait that you would say that makes people memorable to you? What's your takeaway when you're interviewing somebody or you're asking someone questions? And do you have like a tick box where you kind of be like, that was a good one. That was a good one. The way that people respond to you.
Yes. And I think maybe being a performer who's now like a presenter journalist, you get quite good at reading body language and energy.
Yeah.
And knowing if someone's like got quite closed body energy, like, has it been a long day for them? Like, but I always try and have some form of icebreaker. I don't mean like an official, like, knock, knock, who's there? Like, because that won't work. But I just, for instance, when I was...
Let's play Zip Zap Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Pass the energy, go. Trustful. No, it's no, like, I mean, when we did, it was the Mary Poppins Returns European premiere.
Yeah.
And I got to interview Lin-Manuel Miranda down the red carpet.
Yeah.
And he had said somewhere else in another interview about some form of like British candy or treat he liked. And that was my opening question. I think I just did like a quick fire, like this or that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, and he said it. And then I was like, okay, I've got him a bit more warm now.
Yeah.
And he knows this is not going to be like a generic interview. So I think for me, it's knowing like, if I can add some like personal onto it, or if I've made them laugh, not like I go in there trying to make them laugh, but you want to disarm them in a positive way, to be like,
make them comfortable.
yeah, this is a safe space. Like, and also maybe being a performer, like I get it. Like if I've even been on film, talking to like actors in films, and I'm like, oh, when I was performing on set, I know you're playing Uno in between takes. Like, what's your game of choice to pass time on the set?
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, and then they think, and then I'm like, right, now going back to it. And then quite often that gets me something maybe not always an exclusive, but maybe someone will go into something a bit more
Something
depth,
unique.
something
Yeah.
unique with it. And like, obviously I'm not going to write a story on like someone's like games, but you know what I mean? You're warming them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know if it's been a good one or a bad one.
Yeah.
And like, I think what I like sometimes about like vox pops and street casting and interviews is that you've got the power to wrap that up quite quickly.
Yeah.
You're like, you're not giving me what I need or what the marketing team needs, so
Yeah.
let's wrap this up in a positive way.
Yeah.
Well, when you're interviewing talent, you'll sometimes have someone tap you on the shoulder to be like, last one, or they literally stood behind the talent being like, so you have to be a lot more concise with your input output for that. But yeah, I can definitely tell when it's been a good or a bad one. And I shan't name people, but there's someone who's the bane of my life at events, who's incredibly well known, who just never wants to do a vox pop for a West End show.
Really?
And the amount of producers and agents have said, we need this person, we want it in a trailer. And every show they're at, I go up to them and they sometimes just walk away. I'll literally go over to talk to them and they just walk away, won't say anything. Not to say they're rude, because again, celebrity status is a byproduct of being an actor. And I'm not by any means saying someone needs to be on all the time. You do not. However, certain producers have said, we want this person. They're the perfect demographic. We've given them a free ticket. They should be aware of some form of exchange, but they won't stop at the like step and repeat board. They won't do vox pops. And this person should be unnamed. And I'm sure they're lovely, but they just never want to do it. And whenever I'm at that certain production team, I'm like, guess who's here again? And I always try and speak to them. You know who you are. No, but yeah.
You need to come up with something epic. Like you need to do it, like throw yourself on the floor in front of them.
Yeah.
Trip them up, help them up.
And then maybe that will win them over or get it. So
Yeah.
yeah, you know when there's a good or a bad one, or if there's certain people like on your wish list. But also certain people, you have to be respectful of their time and energy in their space. And you can tell if they're not doing any interviews, is it really worth pushing it and potentially ruining your relationship with that PR?
Yeah, true.
Do you know the PR that maybe you could warm them up to get them over? So do not be aggressive. That time of journalism hopefully is gone. It's still somewhat there when someone will bulldoze in. I'm not about that. I'm very respectful of someone's like...
It's very much called out now. That's the thing.
Exactly. And if someone says no, like, respect them. Like, as I said, they're not meant to be on there, not a performing monkey, so I get that. There's this sometimes, I guess, working out like when can you warmly nudge to get something, because you know someone will say something, or when not to. But that's being a smart journalist and knowing like, and having integrity to be like,
know your audience.
I'm not, yeah, exactly. Like, there's no point pushing that person that's already said no to people. Like, they just won't do it. So there's no point ruining that relationship potentially with the PR.
Yeah.
Find someone else that you know will give you what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to start wrapping up now.
Okay.
But before we do, what does success mean to you that perhaps it didn't 10 years ago?
Now, this is something I'm trying to do really heavily, is valuing the downtime more and seeing friends and family, or taking my dog for a walk. Well, I think definitely 10 years ago, it was work, 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 work. I need to be working, I need to be seen to be working. I'm only as good as my last job. But if I look back on all those jobs I had, it's the memories, like the laugh, the time we did this, the time we were on a cruise ship, but we went skydiving in between shows, or like we did this, or someone was a blooper. Like, I never think back and be like, oh, it was because I did that one dance move, or I was in that one show just because of the show. So I think, I'm trying to now, success is time off.
The good times.
The good times. It's not just, it's working hard to have the time off, not just working hard to keep working hard.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm still trying to navigate as well now.
Yeah, that's good. Very, very good. So if you were to have a curtain call, so if people were to celebrate you for something, what would that thing be? What would you like people to celebrate you for?
This is probably going to be very generic. I don't mean it to be, but I think when I moved from performing to marketing and journalism, there was definitely a heavy crossover period. Nowadays, I'm known more for like journalism, presenting, marketing. And last year when I had a presenting job, someone who hadn't met me didn't know I was a performer. And I said something to them, and as I took a drink, saying, oh, when I was a professional dancer, and they spat it out because they thought I was making a really funny joke, being like, when I was a professional dancer. I was like, no, I was. And she was like, what? And it was so funny to me to be like, oh, I need to honor that maybe a bit more now into my new world and be like, I did do that.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And even for this amazing question, looking back on all these old photos and I've kept every lanyard I've ever done as a presenter, like every access or area
press
pass
and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I was like, do I bring that? But that would have been like, whoom.
Yeah.
But it's thinking, I've not thought about that job in so long.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be a bit more reflective. So I think I don't know if that kind of does answer your question, but I think I want to be known now also for what I was and who I am, as opposed to being just who I am.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, nice. Remember the good times.
Yes.
And your encore. So if you were to relive a moment within your life, whether it be to just experience it again and feel that again, or to do it differently, what would that be?
I think one of my most favourite jobs I've ever done was my time at Tokyo Disney. I was there for a year and a half. And when I got off the plane, there was someone with my name on a sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've made it.
Yeah.
Someone here has come to collect me. And they're so respectful. And you're like celebrities like over there. I was in Japan 2010 and 2011, even like through the earthquake and all that. But I still sometimes now get messages from fans on my birthday.
Really?
And it's just so sweet. I just think that time and that, because you're just there with all these people from around the world in different shows, as well as the local Japanese talent. I think that was such an amazing experience. And again, that was so long ago now that obviously I can't just drop that in the conversation all the time, but I think like I found some of the fan mail, and when I was going through this box, just people sending messages and stuff like that. Because again, you ask celebrities over there, not like you want to be a celebrity, you know what I mean though? You're getting this lovely letters from people. And I was looking back and thought, what a phenomenal. One of my best friends now, Marissa, she's from New York, but she lives here now, and how our lives have connected again. I just think for me, that job, I just wish I could maybe go back and bottle that up. And it was a time really before Instagram was that big. So I've got photos on my Facebook albums, but I don't have like much. Like now, some people come back from Tokyo Disney and they've got like 30,000 followers. Yeah. And I thought, the times are different. But yeah, I just think that whole experience for me, learn a different culture, learn a different language, and a job you work extremely hard, but they paid your travel to and from work. They paid for your accommodation. It was all these amazing things. Like that job did that right so much. Yeah. So I think that experience.
So you do it exactly the same as what you did.
I think I would, minus maybe pushing through some injuries, because you do 5 shows a day there in the park, and they're full-on shows. And
the show must go on.
The show must go on. There was times when the whole right side of my body seized up. And on stage, I was like, is anyone there? Like, I can't see you. And then like, I still continued to do shows because someone else was off sick. And I should have been like, no. Because then I had to have like injections in my back. Yeah. Had to get a translator to come to like the medical with me. So I think I would do it the same, but I would probably be like, guard your energy and your peace a bit more. And don't always be a yes person to be like, I'll cover your track. Yeah. But yeah, I think overall that job I absolutely loved.
And you mentioned that you learnt a new language. So did you speak Japanese?
Choto? No, a little bit. I remember when I first came back, I was trying, but what was irony was I was trying to learn more when I went over there. Yeah. And all the Japanese cast want to speak English. Yeah. So they're like, let's say this. Yeah. So there's obviously English is so widely spoken because you've got performers there from Brazil, America, Australia, mainland Europe. But I did know a fair bit. And every now and then, like I was lecturing at a university, and there was a Japanese student, and I was like, Genki? And I started speaking a little bit, trying to remember what it was. And then when I said, because the show I was in was called Big Band Beat, which was probably the most well-known show at the time. It was a tap show. Mickey played the drums and tap dance. It was phenomenal. And when I still say that show, although it sadly closed, I think last year, after like X amount of years, people were like, oh, like that was the big show. So yeah, I think... Yeah.
Cool. How do you say performing in life in Japanese?
Oh gosh, I can't do that. I will find out for you and tell you. But yeah, it was. But I think travel is one of the best byproducts of this industry. So if you're in the arts, take the job that takes you away. Travel, it enriches your life so much as a human. Even just thinking, oh, remember when I lived in Japan, or I got to tour Australia, or I got to do this. Like
it's a life skills, isn't it? The whole independence that's thrown at you as well, especially at when so many younger artists or performers end up on tour or something like that. Sometimes it's the first time away from home. And
exactly.
It's a real learning.
And there was a person I know very well, they were in my year at college, and they were like, I just want to stay, I want West End. They never booked a West End, and they gave up after 2 years auditioning when they got offered jobs that went away, tours, cruise ships, and they didn't take them. I think they were my year or the year below that story. yes, she was my year, but it didn't take them. And then I'm like, you need to cut your teeth, grind, go and do that job, learn to do your own solo sets, learn what a reblock is, learn what a company manager does. That makes you so much more employable than just working your part-time job to fund your life in London, but you're not being creative, you're not being fulfilled. Like the dream at the end of the day is to work, isn't it, as a performer? And I think we glamorize certain things that we're not actually working. Shouldn't the job just be to dance, to act, to sing, to produce, to write, whatever it is?
Yeah, it's a fortunate place to be. Really, really fortunate place to be. Fabulous. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. And, well, hopefully we'll have you back soon at some point, which would be great.
So much.
But I hope you had a nice time.
I did. Enjoying the aircon, and it's been you're a fantastic interviewer. So win-win-win.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thanks for coming. And round of applause, please, everybody, for Jamie. Ta-da.